Right, folks, here we are. Another little video. Well, basically, in the last one I mentioned in the Amber Heard one, that there are people who believe they shouldn't be praying for Amber Heard because she's a narcissistic person with a vile personality, all this stuff. But that's exactly who we should be praying for. You know, the world may judge her. The world may say that she should be finished and that we shouldn't be bothered with her. We shouldn't care about what happens to her because she deserves the consequences of her behaviour. We, who are supposed to be, of God, need to raise the bar. This one's going to be called Raising the Bar because we so much need to raise the bar. We cannot be judging people according to the same way the world is, because then we are completely and utterly of the world. Now, I've said before that the church is of the world, so therefore that's a lot of where this understanding comes from, because there doesn't seem to be a real teaching on these things. There should be. Yeah, this Sunday coming, the church should be teaching very much about Amber Heard and about the fact of how we, who are supposed to be shining light, should be recognising this situation and how we should be dealing with it in our own understanding. And as I say, in all these things, understand how God looks at her. When God looks at Amber Heard, how does he see her? He doesn't look at her through judgment. Is she dead? Yeah. Has God ended her and sent her to hell now? No, she's still alive. She's appealing her decision. So therefore, God isn't looking at her with judgment. If he was, she'd be a pillar of stone, or she'd be, she would have just died. She hasn't died. God is not looking at her in that way. He's looking at her from a position of love. We need to do the same. It doesn't mean we should be in love with her. It means that we should show love towards her in the way we talk about her. Use grace and mercy when we talk about her. Talk about her in a sense of she's where she is. Is it possible that she can't help the way she does things because of the way her life has been? It's been reported that her father was an abusive man. Is it possible that she got a lot of the way she is from her father, and that she's never really known any difference? And the problem is she's had people that allowed her to behave in that manner. Her ex-wife, her sister, her mother, Johnny Depp. Because Johnny, they eventually split up. But who was the one who put in the claim for divorce? Amber, not Johnny. Right? Amber did that, Johnny didn't do it. So Johnny, for all that time, was basically saying to her, her behaviour was certainly okay enough. Not okay, but okay enough. She's had people around her all the time that have been doing it. They've been saying, although her behaviour isn't fantastic, it's okay enough. Although they say, please don't behave that way. It's not good, but I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to be here for you. I'm not going to hold you accountable for your behaviour. So of course she comes to court. She's been held accountable. And she's like, well, hold it. This is wrong. This has never happened in my life before. Of course it hasn't. Losing this case could be the most important thing in her life. But we have to understand that when we're talking about this situation, if Dr. Shannon Curry is correct, that Amber Heard has these psychological problems, then basically that explains her behaviour. If that explains her behaviour, then those issues have to be dealt with. Otherwise, she's still going to be the same person doing the same thing. And as I said before, as I've said so many times, we can't say that if I'd have had her life, I'd have done it any better, because I'd have been her. So I couldn't have done it any better if I'd have been her, because she did things how she did things because of the experiences that she's had in her life, and because of the way that people, as I say, have encouraged her to behave like that by the way that they've responded to her behaving like that. They are equally, well, not equally, but they have some part of the blame for that, really. So, as I say, we have to have understanding. We have to have the same level of understanding that God has, so we can see the full picture, rather than just have that snap judgment that the world has. She lied about him. She tried to cancel him. It was all fake, so therefore she's an evil person. That's a snap judgment. We need to raise the bar. We need to say that sort of snap judgment is not good enough. It isn't. We are supposed to be more than that. We are supposed to be shining light in the darkness. She is in darkness. Judging her, saying we shouldn't be praying for her, all that sort of stuff. That's just adding darkness to darkness. That's not the way we should be. That's not what God saved us and left us here for. To do that. But again, I'm not going to try and judge the people doing that, because they are where they are, really. And, but it is a case of saying to people, we do need to raise that bar in all things. We all started off, every Christian started off basically at the same level as the world, where the bar was incredibly low. There has not been a lot of raising the bar, has there? In relationships, we have basically the same sort of relationships. We do things the same way as the world doesn't. We do the engagement, we do the wedding, we do all that sort of gumph that came from the world. And in church, we still do that crap. Why? Because we don't have wisdom and understanding as to how we should do things. Because, again, we're not worried about trying to raise the bar. We're not worried about trying to do things differently, trying to do things as God wants us to do things. We ignore scriptures that say we should be better. We ignore the scriptures that talk about the new man, that talk about us becoming a new creation, about the old man dying, that talk about us not being of this world. We ignore all of that stuff because that stuff is challenging. We don't want to be challenged. Being challenged is uncomfortable. We want to be comfortable, and so we go to churches that make us comfortable. We hang around people that make us comfortable. I mentioned earlier about Amber's groupies. Well, in churches, groupies, they call them cliques, but they're basically groupies, aren't they? You'll have one person in that clique who seems to be like the one in charge, and everyone else just hangs around that person because they want to be liked. Well, how about being liked by God? What about that? What about starting with the understanding that, when you gave your life to God and when you went on the right path, from that point of view, from that time, it was not supposed to be about you anymore. It wasn't supposed to be. Because if you understand it, that from that point in time, that God had your back, if God had your back, then he was taking care of your needs, which meant that you didn't need to take care of your needs anymore. Right? Yep, that's correct. But the problem is, we don't see it that way. We still need to take care of our needs. So therefore, we don't put other people first, because we have to put ourselves first, because otherwise, who's going to worry about us? Again, God. Yeah. Crazy. You know, in church they believe that God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. But they don't actually bother to try and think of, what does that mean? You know, what does that really mean? Let's imagine that really is the case. What would that actually mean? How much would God love you that he would send his son to die for you? You know, to take upon himself your sin so that you could have a relationship with God. How much would God love you to watch his son go through all of that for you? And yet you don't think he loves you enough to take care of your need. That you think you've got to put yourself first. You think you've got to do things as you did in the world, basically. That you've got to look after yourself because no one else is going to. Even though God said, I'll look after you. And you said yes, but then you forgot about that. Or you don't think that God is quite capable. Yeah. There are some bizarre understandings. Certainly with people in church, there are some quite bizarre understandings. But, I mean, that to me is one of the most bizarre ones, really. Yeah. How you can believe in all that, but then not believe that that means anything. Yeah. Yeah. Also the point of, you believe that when you were saved, from that moment you were saved, you belonged in heaven, but you're not in heaven, so you never bother to ask the reason, well, why are we not in heaven? There must be a reason for that, so why are we not in heaven? Yeah? These are all questions that, you know, I had from a very, very young point of view as a Christian. And it baffles me how other people haven't had the same questions, because it seems very much that those would be the questions you would have. Yeah. But, yeah. We're all different, aren't we? That's the thing. We are. And I did an audio video the other day talking about the fact that my level of knowledge and understanding is of the same size of the tip of a blade of grass. Because it is. It's no better than that. It isn't. But that's why we should be coming into fellowship with others, because that person has the knowledge of the tip of a grain of sand. So if I can gather that knowledge as well into mine, like I did videos earlier today when I did about the body. Now, as I said, I'm excited about all that because I'm gaining in knowledge and understanding on something that I didn't think was important. That now I realise, actually, it's pretty important, pretty good stuff, pretty useful knowledge. And therefore my knowledge and understanding is growing as a result of that. Now, that's exciting. I love that. That's great. And we should be mixing with people, and we should be really pushing each other to develop that knowledge and understanding. Again, raising the bar. You know, your knowledge and understanding was at a certain level when you gave your life to God. It should be increasing all the time. If it's not, then you've got to have a serious look. Yeah. Oh, by the way, in case you don't know, we're in the, or you are seeing, the ferry village again. So yeah, this is the mucky bit. We're coming to the bit with all the houses in a minute. Just as we come through here. Well, actually, there should have been some houses over there, but there wasn't. I think, was there? I don't know. I've no idea. I think it's up here. It's a long time since I've been here. Well, when it's wet, you can see areas like that get incredibly mucky. Really do. So, yeah, I avoid it after it's been raining because it is a muggy place to come. Yeah, really. So, it's not the best design path for that purpose, but it's cool. Fine. On dry days, it's a nice place to walk. You do actually have, this area is very good when it's windy because the trees do give you a little protection from the wind. So it's good in that sense. Anyway, back to the point. What else is there worth saying about it? Just generally speaking, at work, if you're in a worldly job and you're one of the only Christians in your work, if you're behaving just like everyone else to fit in, then you're massively missing the point as to why you're there. Yeah, if you believe that God has put you there for a reason, then live according to that reason. If you're behaving like everyone else, then you're not living according to that reason, are you? I'm not saying this to have a go at people. I'm saying this because of the fact, eventually we are all going to be faced with being answerable to God. If God has put you somewhere to be an example to others and you're refusing to do so because doing that means that people might not like you, it means that people might not invite you out after work and stuff like that because you're the good little Christian and you're the one who doesn't laugh at their dirty jokes, you're the one who doesn't do all the things that they do. They think that you look at them in disgust, so therefore they won't invite you to these places, and you want to be invited, you want to be liked. I've said so many times before, you can be a people pleaser or you can be a God pleaser. You can be pleasing God or pleasing people. The point of it is you can't do both. If you're trying to please people, you will very, very rarely please God. If you're trying to please God, you will quite often please people. It might not be in the way that you see it. Because that's the point. I've done the last one I did. I talked about the fact of, your journey is important and your destination won't necessarily be what you think it is. You could think your destination is, if you're at work, you think your destination is to bring this person to God. It might not be. It might be someone else completely different who works there that you've never really noticed. But it's that person you're supposed to bring to God. But if you're doing it, you're not going to reach the right person, are you? So I say, you've got to understand that we are left here because we have a job to do. Because God is saying, right, okay, I want you to be basically, what's the word? What is it countries have? Ambassador. I want you to be my ambassador there. And what's an ambassador's job to do? Represent the country that they're from. We are supposed to represent God and represent heaven wherever we go. Are we doing that? No. No. And I would say that if you are doing stuff like that, if you are doing well in that way, then it's important to realise that you can never really raise the bar high enough. So you've raised the bar a bit, keep going. Keep going. So, I mean, part of the problem for the church over the years is that when God has moved, they've moved, but they never bothered to say what's next. They never bothered with what's next. We've got to bother with that. It matters. What's next is important. Because, we don't want to miss what's happening now, but we don't want to really miss what's happening later. Because what's happening now might not be the final destination. And so we want to make sure that we're there at the final destination, but also at the destinations leading up to it. It's like Paul says about you run your race, but we're in a race where there's lots of areas where we're supposed to go to, and we're supposed to stop there, and that's part of our race. And the problem is a lot of people that aren't going to these destinations. They're hoping to be at the final destination, but they're not willing to run the race on the bits in between. But those bits could be vitally important to give you the knowledge you need to get to the final destination. Yeah. I'll put it this way, with every person, with people like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, I mean Johnny hopefully will learn from this, so his next relationship will be of such where if he is with somebody who's a bit toxic and a bit like Amber, he will split straight away. Because he should have done that with Amber, he didn't. So he needs to learn as well as she does. You know? Again, maybe he needs better people around him that are going to give him better advice in that way. Rather than just saying, Johnny, you're right, yep, she will change. She said she'll change, and you believe her? Of course you're right, Johnny. We all need to do better. That's the reality. We all need to learn from the things we've done wrong, and yeah, we all have time to do that right now. We do. Most of us, certainly, yeah. We don't know how long we've got, but generally speaking, we have time, because how long does it take to go from the wrong path to the right path? Yeah, a millisecond, maybe. You know, it doesn't take long. I mean, we may have to go through certain things to get there, but God's going to make sure that we do that. If we have a desire to be on the right path, God's going to make sure that we get on that path. That desire is what takes a millisecond to go from one thing to another. 1 second. Yeah, people with dogs again. I'm going to go out this way. It gets annoying. I have to keep turning off the video. So, pausing it and I forget where I am. So it's like, no, I'll go in this way. Indeed. Not going to turn it off. No. So, there you go. I'll say that we need to understand who we are. We need to understand who God is. And we need to understand that, come on, that bar is so low. That bar is so low, we can certainly raise it. You know, in so many areas we can raise that bar. So once you raise the bar in one area, look to another area, raise it again. Raise it in the other area. You know? Yeah. You know, be people that don't just settle. Settling, oh, that's nasty. That's nasty. We don't want to settle. Settling is not good for us in any way, shape or form. We shouldn't want to settle. To be people that are not willing to settle, but just want to raise the bar and just want to, you know, be an example. Not an example so that people look at us and say, oh, how wonderful you are, but an example so that we point to God. Why do we need to point to God? Because those people that aren't in God right now, that don't have a relationship with Father, they need that. If you need it, they need it as well. And the whole idea is we point to Him for their sake, not so that we get glorified, not so that people look at, oh, how wonderful you are. No, not about that. And the reason why we keep raising the bar, as I say, we can't raise it high enough. We really can't. And the more we raise the bar, the more that we find that life is so much better for us. Because if you raise your bar in your relationship, it means you have a better relationship. If you raise your bar at work, it means you have more enjoyment, and you probably even get promoted at work. You know, so raise the bar. Continue doing it. Now, isn't that nice? Someone's given the poo bag a seat, eh? As if the poo bag needed a seat, but there you go. That's a kind thing to do for a poo bag, isn't it? Really. There you go. They could have put it over there somewhere, but no. Or could have put it on the ground next to. But now, if someone wants to sit there, they're not going to really want to sit next to a poo bag, are they? So, what people do. I mean, as I say, it could have been a nice act to the poo bag. Who knows? As I said, we can't judge the person being out of order for putting it there. They might have did a nice act for the poo bag or for the poo that's in there, because it's gone through the system, and now it's come to the end of its life, that poo. So therefore, it has a nice seat to sit on. That may be the case. You never know. All right. Well, I think that's the end of this one. I'm not going to raise the bar with regards to comedy, because I don't think I was called to be a comedian. So that's the best I got, I think. So there you go. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. I mean, what I would also say is, yeah, there's been a month without videos for the channel, but there's been 3 done today, and there was 1 done the other day. So yeah, it's like buses. You wait for a while, and then suddenly they all come at once. So there you go. You take care. God bless. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.